Welcome back to Roto Moto. My name is Donnie, and in this one I have 5 riders that I want you to look at when making your picks for Orlando 1, tips for picking your FFL, the weather report, race day schedule, and as always, a very early look at what my team very well could look like come Saturday for Orlando 1. But before we get to that, as always, we are going to review the stats and info from the previous race at Indy 3. We had an uptick in players, a nice little rebound from Tuesday's race. 14,461 teams set their lineups, of which 7,595 were part of the paid championship league. The median score for the champ league was 231, meaning if you scored 232 or more, you did better than half of the paying field. A perfect score was almost 100 points higher, consisting of 352s in the 250 class. Marvin Muskin and 2 double-digit handicaps for a whopping 326 nailed both FFLs, and you would have been looking at 356 as a perfect score. Entirely possible this week, as Roxon and Craig were popular picks and have been up front all season. The amount of all-stars per team continue to trend downward, but 6 races in, I'm a little concerned 2/3 of y'all are still picking an extra all-star. We had the fewest riders score double this weekend, probably a byproduct of the 250 handicaps finally coming back down to earth, and the 0-point pick trend was astronomical this time around. 86% meant 8 out of 10 teams had at least one guy miss the main, shockingly led by Michael Mosman, who was the highest picked all-star in both classes combined, despite the fact that he was rolled out of the night show a full hour before gates drop. Don't forget to follow at RotoMoto on Twitter and Instagram so you can get all of the entry updates. I posted about Michael being out a full 71 minutes before lockout, so no excuses to miss things like that. Check it when you wake up, check after qualifying, check 10 minutes to go. It's free and it will add years to your life. The highest score in the Roto Moto League for the week is going to Beef 90. Someone else actually earned it, but they didn't even bother putting a picture on their profile, so they get a nothing. Good day, sir. Benny Wap still out here crushing it, 1,591 points on the season, and on top for the 3rd consecutive week. I only mustered 241. I took the exact same team I featured in my video. I wanted to add Simonson and Gardner, but I just really liked the team that I already had, and I couldn't talk myself out of them. Obviously, I couldn't pick Marv, and Benny let me down, but any other season without so many 52s, I would be stoked with this 241. The ins and outs are a lot more green than usual, as we have a ton of guys coming back or making their debut in Orlando. McElrath, Bowers, and Henry Miller will all debut. Dean Wilson is going to attempt to line up. Sexton hasn't committed either way in his day-to-day. Breaking news as of recording this video though, Max Anstey will not be lining up. He is shooting for Orlando too, so make sure to leave him off your team. I know there was a little bit of buzz about him earlier in the week. Alex Ray is the first rider in 2021 to catch COVID and will sadly be missed. I better not catch any of you trying to get cattywampus come Saturday night. Before jumping into the Orlando 1 picks, just a friendly reminder that Roto Moto is an entirely privateer operation. I research, I write, I record, I edit, I post, I promote every single video entirely by myself, in addition to the cheat sheets, the Twitter, the Instagram. Everything that you see on this thing is entirely me with no outside help at all. If you want to support me and help Roto Moto grow, please check out our website at rotomoto.co. Check out the merch section. We have shirts, beanies, hats, book bags, and a brand new shirt was added recently, the Never Change AMA shirt, which was recently featured on the PulpMX live show, worn by the very handsome Travis Marks. If you are serious about maximizing your PulpMX fantasy scores, please consider subscribing to the Roto Moto Patreon. You will have access to an exclusive podcast every week with an early look at the handicaps, a private Discord server, and most importantly, the enhanced cheat sheet that is stocked full of so much information. It will literally make your head spin, and if you don't have the scratch to support financially, that's okay too. Please hit the little subscribe button right below the video, leave a really productive comment, and share the post on Twitter and Instagram to your friends. All right, on to our picks for Orlando 1. The first guy I want you to look at is 250 All-Star Mitchell Oldenburg. Now, Mitchie has a tendency to crash out or deal with other problems, but he is the clear top guy after the 4 factory riders. A 6 handicap here for an easy top 5 guy is actually what I'm looking for, as I don't reasonably see Osby or Dew competing with Oldie even if he gets a bad start. Remember, this is the last East round until SLC, so no matter who you pick here, you will be able to pick them again when we revisit the East class again, as the rule states you can't pick the same rider 2 races in a row and doesn't specify the coasts. Another 250 guy to peep at should be on every single team this weekend. Somehow Logan Carnow is 6 handicap. I picked him last week at a 6. 6 and he got 12th, and he's somehow still a 6 handicap. The guy's really blew it on this one. His last 4 rounds include 12th, 9th, 12th, and of course that DNF at Indy 1 that was obviously out of his control. His rear shock broke on the sight lap and he was unable to do the race. Logan gets good starts. He's able to transfer straight from the heat and he races until the flag. A 6 handicap is a steal. I expect to see a massive pick trend on Logan, and for good reason. Moving on to the 450 class, starting with an all-star, I think there's really nowhere else to look but Justin Barcia. He also has a 6 handicap, which is a ton of value for Bam Bam, especially if it ends up wet. I'm assuming our good friends at Dirtworks will do everything in their power to keep the track dry and in good shape, and we'll go over the weather report later in this video, but Barcia could and should have been top 5 in all but one round this year, but a broken shifter and a late collision with a lap rider shows 2 poor finishes and has led to this lofty handicap. The second 450 rider to look at is Joey Savacci, and he's going to be the rider of the week that I want you to stay away from. A 1 handicap has no value here. His best finish is an 8th, and a 1 handicap makes that worth only 32 points. And that's only going to get harder as the mid-pack is getting a little bloated with the return of Dean and potentially Chase, and the impending debut of McElrath this week and Anstey next. The high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with the handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance to score massive points this week. If you're the type of person that likes to sweat out a little LCQ for a big payout. Fortunately, the Triple H has been easy points this season with how weak the 250 East class is. I do not recommend picking any double-digit 450 guys this weekend with the returning and debuting riders going to be filling the main, but a 250 guy that could be easy points this weekend is Hunter Schlosser. He has successfully put it into the main in the last 3 rounds, all in Indy, once through the heat and once with an LCQ win. He backed up 2 16th place finishes by running 11th at Indy 3 before a mechanical ended his day just outside of double points, leading to his handicap staying at this 10 this week. The FFL, or first to the finish line, is an optional wager where you attempt to guess the rider in each main that reaches the finish line and is the first to start the opening lap. If your selected rider in each class is successful, you will earn 15 extra points for that week's score, but if you guess wrong, you subtract 7. The 250 FFL is getting easier and easier with another contender being removed with injury. It's pretty much down to Christian, Jed, and Colt, so you have a 33% chance of getting it right, which any gambler will tell you are good betting odds. Craig has the most with 2, but Colt should have had 2 instead if not for a rogue rut in the last main event. Jed is still a contender here, but I think he's the weaker option of the 3 as he is undoubtedly still feeling all of those crashes. Ken Roxon finally cops an FFL for himself after being so close to the front in so many rounds this season. I think he and Barcia are the top options here, but again, don't sleep on AC as he has been the best average start in the class and should have pulled one at Indy 3 if Barcia didn't stop his momentum with a very Bam Bam move in the first corner. As of Friday morning, the weather outside is weather. Scattered thunderstorms over Orlando pretty much all afternoon, but only the 1 p.m. hour has a higher chance than 50%. It's really hard to say how hard the Camping World Stadium is going to get hit once they uncover the tracks. I fully expect the guys at Dirtworks to take care of it like they always do, and the race to shape up and be pretty rideable for the night show, but as always, take caution and likely have a few alternates ready that favor those sort of conditions. The schedule is pretty typical East Coast fare. Tune in with Blair and Hubbard for Race Day Live at 1:30 p.m. local time for a 3.5-hour pre-show program. Patreon backers can expect the enhanced cheat sheet at 6 p.m. delivered straight to Patreon. The rest of you will have access to the basic cheat sheet at 6:30 p.m., about an hour before the gates drop at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The race will be broadcast live on both NBCSN and the Peacock app starting at 7:30, and don't forget to tune in right back here on YouTube for the Roto Moto post-race program beginning immediately following the 450 podium interviews, starting at about 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. My Thursday morning team looks like this. I have Oldenburg anchoring my 250 team. I'm trying to squeeze what value is left out of Grant Harlan's 2 handicap, looking for a bounce back for Kevin Moran's in his 4 handicap and hoping to cash in, albeit a little bit late, on Devin Simonson's 8. On the 450 side, I have Barcia as my all-star at a 6. Chiz gonna chiz, and that 9 is tasty as hell. Still picking Marty, waiting for the big payoff from his 6 handicap, and finally I have Dean Wilson penciled in to return here at a 4, but Shane O'Mac is likely to find himself in this spot instead after qualifying. I do have Colt Nichols penciled in there for FFL, but we'll see if I'm brave enough to actually stamp it come Saturday. Don't forget to follow at RotoMoto on both Twitter and Instagram for qualifying insights, injury reports. So many people missed the Michael Mosiman last week. I reported it an hour and 11 minutes before the gates locked. 30% of people still had him on their team. So please, at RotoMoto on Twitter and Instagram. Check the fleets on Twitter. Check the stories on Instagram. Also, I will have updates on the weather, updates on the schedule, stats and banners as the race day goes on, but most importantly, the fantasy cheat sheets that will combine your handicaps, your qualifying positions, and the heat races all in one easy-to-read form. And if you want even more help making those big picks on race day, be sure to subscribe to RotoMoto on Patreon so that you have access to the enhanced cheat sheet that comes out a full 30 minutes earlier than the cheat sheet that hits Twitter and Instagram. I just want to give a shout out to the Patreon supporters that we have on board already. This channel is made possible by good people like Trevor, Chad H, and B Hood. Thank you so much for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie, and I will see you on race day.